And we've accomplished several really wonderful things this year. The first thing we did was the CLAC, the leadership team of the CLAC, of which I am a member, we attended a program, a 2-day program, and then a follow-up at the Rhode Island Parents Information Network in Cranston that gave us an overview of what the duties and responsibilities of the CLAC is, and tried to get that group moving forward. A lot of times we have trouble getting people to participate, but we were very pleased to see that the EWG CLAC is one of the more active and efficient CLACs in the state. After that, in the month of February, and I want to extend my congratulations to the wonderful teachers that we have in this school district. I'm very, very pleased with them that deliver special education to our children. They did a presentation that was fabulous in February on occupational therapy and speech pathology, and they just did a great job. It was very well attended by parents who had children there. In May, we did a workshop presented by David Kane about our bylaws. We're undergoing bylaws revisions right now, but until those revisions are completed, we're not going to present them to the school committee for approval, and that should happen over the summer. But that is the sum of our activities for this year. We're always looking for more parents to participate and help us with this. And once again, we're very grateful to the superintendent and Carmela for the great job that we think that they do here. Thank you.
So now I move on to the CRP update, Part B, and preschool. I am not going to take up your time going through every piece of this. I can certainly, again, send it to you. Not a lot has changed with the CRP in regards to the amount of funds that we receive. We certainly are not receiving additional funds. It stays pretty consistent year after year. And just quickly, if you glance at the chart, you can see where most of the grant goes to. It goes to salary and benefits. It supports instructional materials, it supports equipment, it supports purchase of service, and it also takes care of a lot of our ESY needs or our summer services needs. So again, I'm happy to answer any questions around that at a later time. I just don't want to take your time going through all of that. Preschool, very similar. It's a little bit opposite of what the Part B is. For preschool, there's a small portion for salary and benefits, but a lot of what the preschool grant goes to covers supplies and materials to fund those classrooms at the preschool. So again, not a lot of additional funds, and even moving forward to this year, we will not be getting a lot of additional funds through the grant. So it is really being stressed by the number of salaries and benefits that we have there, but we're still able to provide what we need for students at this point in terms of instructional materials, purchases of services. We purchase, and I listed those for you as well. You'll see these are the salaries that it supports: 2 special education teachers, a behavior specialist, our early childhood coordinator, 1 teacher assistant, and a speech language pathologist, 0.16 at Lina. And then it also supports our ESY, what we use for ESY in terms of an occupational therapist, a teacher assistant, and 4 teachers. Now, that was last year's. This reflects last year's budget. I've just completed this year's grant, and we're getting ready to submit that now. Okay? And then, again, I gave you pretty much a breakdown of all the other different things that it funds. And you can see how much it actually funds. We do a lot with the grant, with what we have, and we're able to do a lot. We maintain the van. We're able to purchase therapy supplies and materials, equipment, assistive technology, additional ESY staffing. We were able to fund a psychology intern this past year, and also extensive consultations from the Autism Project, pre-K through 12. So we were able to have them come in and consult with teachers and teams and work with students. So that's been very effective for us. Okay. Any questions on that? And again, if you have additional questions, I'm happy to sit and meet with you. I just don't want to take up a lot of your time on that. I have information in regards to group home status. I give you that every year. We have 2 students in Pathways, 4 students at Bradley, 1 at the Groton Center, and 1 student at Metcalf. And these are our out-of-district placements, so you can see where all of our students are. That 1 student that we have at Metcalf is actually at Vincent Exeter House, so that's where he resides. We just had 2 students who we had to place at Harmony Hill. They were BCYF placed at Harmony Hill, so that was a situation that once they're placed in a residential and they live in our community, we fund them. We talked about that during the budget presentation. So that's the out-of-district placements. So now we're going to go to the fun stuff, and we're going to talk about where it all begins, and that's at the Lynham School and our Early Learning Center. So Mrs. Horsey is going to give us a brief update on what's going on there.
Sorry, I can't see it all. So yeah, I just wanted to do a quick update this year. I've talked more at length at other years when we've had more things happening. This year has been exciting in terms of our growth. We added a 5th classroom, a half-day morning classroom. So we were able to run 2 3-year-old sessions. You can see just the growth of classrooms. So 2 years ago we had 4, we've gone to 5 this year, and next year we will have 3, able to run 3 full-day classrooms, so 6 sessions, which is really exciting. Our numbers just continue to grow and expand. We've gotten tons of community support, community interest. Word of mouth is our best friend around here, and it's really exciting. Again, you can see students who's coming to Lynham. Again, the progression over the years of how many students, and also I've enumerated the IEP students that are attending, because that is the reason we exist to begin with. But you can see it's definitely a portion of the students that we serve, but we have lots of community peers who want to attend Lynham School and really enjoy being part of a community preschool. So I think that's great for this type of district. There are not a lot of other options for preschool out here. We only have 3 other full-time daycare centers in the district, and then 1 half-day private preschool. So we really are very limited compared to other communities to what we have to offer. So having Lynham be able to grow and service the community in the way that it can at this point is I think, immensely useful to the families who live out here. And again, I put at the bottom there, the IEP numbers will grow over the course of the school year. So you can see last year we got up to 24. We always add children through Child Find, whether it's through early intervention or through our child outreach screening work, which I'll jump to the bottom. So the child outreach, you can see that's growing too. We were able to have greater access to the state data on the number of students and their phone numbers and their addresses in the last year or 2 to be able to directly contact families to increase our screening numbers. So Beverly Babcock and I did a lot of work this year, her in particular, sending out letters, making phone calls, finding the children, which is our duty to find children and screen as many as possible. So I think we have 121 Rising K students listed in our district for this past year, and we screened 107 of them. So we're really excited about that number. There are very few children that slipped through, and hopefully if they haven't been screened yet, I can find them at Wallum in the fall. But we're really proud of how our numbers for child outreach continue to grow, and we're able to identify the students that need the extra supports, hopefully at an earlier time. And the other piece of work that we have taken on this year is really starting to look at the curriculum. Marie has been really helpful for us. We did some training so far. We did a half day I guess it was the beginning of May, and then we did another half day recently, and intend to continue the work to really make sure that all of our curriculum work is tied to our own standards, which are separate from the Common Core. We follow the Rhode Island Early Learning Standards, and then all of our assessment work is tied to those standards, so that we're documenting progress in an appropriate and effective way to show how the children are growing, how our teaching practices are effective, and helping the children really get ready for kindergarten. Does anyone have any questions about Lineham for this year?
I have a question on we've increased by one class for the preschool. How is the waiting list was given that? Do you still have the waiting list?
Well, so what happened was based on the population that I had come through for applications, I'm doing 3 3-year-old classrooms. So we'll have an afternoon 3-year-old classroom, which we've never had before, and 3 4-year-old classrooms. I have 2 4-year-olds on a wait list because the 4-year-old classrooms are full.
Just 2 kids.
2 at the moment, so we usually get a few calls over the summer. So we have spaces for our 3-year-olds. We could take a couple more 3-year-olds. So I'm still playing around with those numbers, but the 4-year-old classrooms are completely full. And in fact, I did put extras this year. So
How long ago we had a waiting list of like 40 people? So no, it's bad.
yeah, no, it's great. We've got be able to serve so many more children. So it is great. And I also I never had an opportunity to thank you for the support of our playground. So we're really, really excited about that. And never get to personally thank you. So we're very excited about the changes that will be coming there. There's not much to see yet, but hopefully next year I'll be able to talk about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Okay, so staying with our babies or our younger ones, it's really where being proactive and doing interventions early on, it matters a lot. And we have, and we've talked about it before, an increasing population of students with autism spectrum disorder. And these are some fast facts. And again, if you'd like the packet, I'm happy to get it to you. But autism spectrum disorder, what is the commonality with those children is that many times communication is a barrier for them. It's a significant barrier for them. And it can cause all kinds of issues in terms of behavior. It makes it very difficult for them to access every part of their day when they're in school. Not just in school, but in their lives. So starting out early with them and doing things that are proactive make a huge difference in their lives, and being in school and being students and having peers and all of those things. So assistive technology can be very helpful in that area. And I have someone who's going to speak to you, and that's Tracy Angel Flynn, and she is our speech and language pathologist at Lineham. And this cartoon is, I think, very descriptive of Miss Tracy. She'll find a way to make you talk. And so what you're going to see is what she's been able to do with a young man at Lineham who didn't have a voice. But because of the work that Ms. Tracy has done with him and the support of our special ed budget and all of those things, we've been able to provide an iPad for him and some assistive technology that has made a huge difference for him. So she's going to demonstrate that for you. We could not have him here because he's just a little one, so we just have a little video so that you can see him. Okay? You want me to operate it and you talk?
Okay.
You talk, I'll
That's
operate.
good. I can't believe it.
Hey.
Oh, that's better. Okay, thank you. Okay, so Carmela asked me to talk about assistive technology in 5 minutes, which is really hard as a speech therapist. So I thought maybe taking you on a journey of one of our little guys. He's only 5, so it's a short journey so far. This is Devin. Again, he's 5 years old. He entered our program at Line when he was 3. And at that time, he presented with very significant delays in all of the areas, with his biggest challenge being communication.
Tell me when.
Okay.
Right.
Yes. We went through a variety of different alternate ways for him to communicate. We taught him a little bit of sign. He had some motor planning issues, so that was difficult for him. We used some picture exchange systems where he gave us cards to request, ask for things that he wanted. And as we got to know Devin, we noticed that he's understanding a whole lot more than he can express. And we saw that from the frustration that he was having. So we had an evaluation done, and we looked at some different systems again that are higher tech. And we came up with the Prolo Code Go. And I'm just going to pass it around. I put the volume on soft, so if you want to play around with it. is a expandable system that it's an application that we can get from the Apple store. It is designed to promote growth in communication and language skills. It has up to even more than 8,000 symbols, and we can also add things to customize it for Devin. We can put pictures of ourselves on so he can go tell Mom things about what we did at school, pictures of his peers so he can talk back and forth with them. Another neat thing about the Polo Code Go is that it brings natural sounding text to voice. Text to voice, I always get that mixed up. So when he presses a button, he'll get some verbal output, which is really exciting because he's trying to imitate the verbal output. So we're seeing some increase in vocabulary with that. It also has a little boy's voice, which is nice. A lot of these systems have adult male voices, so when kids use it, it just sounds weird because it doesn't match the little person. It's very easy to use. The most challenging part is setting it up and customizing it for him. Thank goodness there are many, many hours of YouTube videos, which we sit at home and program it that way. Another wonderful thing about it is very low cost in comparison to systems from a couple of years ago. And the reason that's so great is because now families can afford to have these systems at home. It's not just, I can communicate at school, then when I get home, I can't see a thing, which is very frustrating. Okay. Yes. Try a little fast, sorry. It's not going to be 4 minutes.
Do the best you can.
What we noticed, the first part of it we were told would be us modeling for Devin all the time, really teaching him how to use it. He shocked us. He very quickly took ownership of his device as his voice. He figured out what it was for. He explored. We actually had to ask him to be quiet sometimes because it's his voice. So again, he took ownership of it, which is exciting. What has it allowed him to do? Having this device, he's able to successfully request things, talk about things that are not in his immediate environment, which he's never been able to do in the past. He's been able to tell us about things he's done on the playground, which before he was limited to answering simple questions, yes or no, what's happening right here. He's able again to imitate the vocal output, and we're seeing some nice success with his speech production. It's improving. He shows us his fun sense of humor. And he's very good at telling us now how he's feeling and sharing his opinions. As a matter of fact, not too long ago, he told me I was mean, which was a really great day. I was like, yes, I am. So that was pretty cool. He's able to tell us he was really upset the other day. He took it on his own, told his teacher, I'm sad and I'm thirsty. And that was that. Got him a drink, it's all good. So definitely broke down some barriers with that. He's able to protest more appropriately and initiate and take turns in conversation with both peers and adults. There he's telling a friend, again, he still needs some adult prompting, but he's doing better. Telling a friend what he's having for snack, and the next step will be having him ask the peer, what do you have for snack? So those are the next steps. This picture here is just an example of our first conversation, which was really cool. Usually when it's time to leave the session, he would protest by clearing the table, tipping the chair, dropping to the floor. This particular day, I said, okay, it's time to go. He said, hello. I said, hello, which we did very purposefully. I said, oh, okay, do you want to stay? You know, I tried to figure out what he was trying to say. And he said, yes, this is fun. So I said, okay. And he said, okay, I like it. And so we had a few minutes. So it was a back and forth conversation, which was a really one of the first, and it was very cool.
Tracy, before you go on, I think it's important for folks to understand what the idea of protesting, because, and maybe you just want to explain that very quickly, protesting appropriately.
Well, that was a very appropriate protest. He was
Right.
telling him to stay versus his typical protest of clearing the table, taking a chair, dropping to the floor, getting very upset. And more important to all of you here is that he has full access to our curriculum. It has been amazing the things he shows us every day. A lot of his skills, like I said in the beginning, significant delays in every area. Recently, he's showing us things like he's at par, ready for kindergarten. He's actually telling us the first letter of sound, the first sound in words, or we will give him a letter or a sound, and he'll tell us things that start with that sound, some beginning phonics skills. He's counting, he's doing some simple math where I might say, how many more do you need? Or how many are left? Or how many do you have altogether? You're getting math skills, very proud of himself. We're super excited whenever he does those things. We would have never known that he had these skills. So it's helping him move from observer to participant in group activities. When he has circle time, he was always an observer, and we would have him participate as much as he could. Now he's actually taking turns in whole class activities. He'll tell the weather during circle time. He's more confident. Needs less adult prompting. He's even figured out a way to sing along with this class. So hopefully we
Ready?
Maybe up. Oh, what's they're singing each song.
They served hamburgers and hot dogs too, and they had a happy time at the Hullabaloo. Ho ho hee hee doodly doo, ho ho hee hee doodly doo, ho ho hee hee hoochie coochie coo, and they had a happy time at the Hullabaloo. You ready? We're gonna do it again.
So basically, they were singing that song, and this was totally on his own, no adult prompting. He figured out a way to participate and sing it himself, which was probably the biggest moment this year. And just if I hadn't caught it on video, I probably wouldn't have believed that he actually figured that out, because it was that intense. He has to go through a lot of menus to get to those letters, and you probably have that song in your ear for the rest of the night. It's very catchy. So basically, it's allowed Devin to be included, be his own person, and really reach his highest potential, which is the whole goal of the assistive technology. Do you have any questions?
Has there been any thought to add music to this kind of, in other words, I mean, what you just showed was like, well, be musical, so is there any way to...
It's very essential. There are things that we can do with that. Also, we learn a lot. Shows that we do that certainly.
Like a keyboard or something.
Skills that we can really build on. We're learning so much about him, just these skills that we not have more class. So it is very awesome and exciting, and makes every day very fun.
Other questions?
Okay, thank
Thanks,
you very much.
Tracy.
Thank you. Have a nice summer.
Thank you.
I should drive back, so I'll be back tomorrow.
Yes, you will. Okay. So now we move from preschool to what we work very hard to get students to, and that is to high school, and then really thinking about post-secondary education and employment and students moving on to successful lives in their communities. So one of the things that we are responsible for making sure we have in place, when students turn 14, we have to do what we call transition planning. And I know I've talked to you about it before. And transition planning involves a lot of things. And it involves students being very active in planning and looking at their future and what they want to do. And it is extremely important, and we have found it to be a very successful process for our students, and we are really growing in that area. We run transition classes every semester, and in those transition classes, students work on interviewing skills and creating maps and whatever. So we want to give you a little bit of a flavor of what that might look like at the high school level and how valuable it is for some of our students. Mrs. Ross does some of our transition classes, and this year, Mrs. Ross and Mrs. Regan conducted student interviews. They did mock interviews with some of our transition students. So we just want to show you a piece of one of those interviews. You might recognize the voice in the background. Perhaps.
Hi, Mr. Ross.
Jared.
All right, Jared. Pleasure to meet you. So you're interviewing to be a barrister / cashier at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
I am an Eagle Scout,
Okay,
and I'm also very good with computers.
okay, good, good. This is a pretty fast-paced environment in the cashier barrister capacity. What experience have you had?
I haven't really had any experience in fast pace, but I'm willing to learn.
Okay, great. And you said you're an Eagle Scout, and I know what that means to become an Eagle Scout. So why don't you tell me what kind of strengths that would bring to this job?
I'm loyal, I'm hardworking. Dependable.
All right, bud. Okay. The only way you know you have a strength is if you know what your weakness is. Do you have any weaknesses that you might?
One of my weaknesses is organization, but I'm willing to learn how to better myself with that.
Yeah, everything's pretty well organized at Dunkin' Donuts, so we'd help you with that. A lot of people, a lot of teenagers your age apply for this. Why should I hire you?
You should hire me because I am hardworking and I'm a loyal employee, or I will be a loyal employee.
Honesty?
And
All right, great, because this is a cash business. So
yeah.
So you're a junior in high school, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Going to college, probably for either diesel mechanic, or computer technology.
Oh, nice. Good. Diesel mechanic, that's good. If I have to call other folks for a reference, what are they going to say about you?
They say that I'm a very good kid, and I'm very honest.
Okay, good. And why are you looking for this type of position?
To better myself with public speaking.
Okay, great. That's important. It's a skill that some people comes naturally to, others they have to work at it, so that's good. What sort of pay do you expect to receive?
I don't really, or my pay is supposed to be equal to what I bring as skills.
Okay. There's a minimum wage, so we'll probably pay minimum wage and then go from there.
All
right. And then how about you're still in high school, so what days and hours can you work?
I can do anything on the weekend,
Okay.
anytime.
All right. After school, or you're not interested in that right now?
I'm really not interested in that right
You
now.
want to focus on school?
Yes.
All right. That's it. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
All right. Great. Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
All right.
So just a little background. Mrs. Ross and Mrs. Regan conduct a mock interview, student reflection. I think it's interesting that one of the things Jared said, if you could read number 3, what would you do differently to improve for the next time you interview? How will you do this? I'll wear dress shoes. Jared is not here, but one of the things you need to know about this young man is he was a young man that really struggled in school for quite some time. We weren't sure whether we would be able to get him out of here in terms of getting him through his coursework and his credits. Several things that made a huge difference for him. We placed him in the Pathways to Careers program, and then got him an internship with our IT department, and he has absolutely blossomed. He is a different young man. He is a valuable asset to the IT department. They sometimes go to him for questions and answer questions. He's absolutely incredible, and he has gained so much self-confidence and is a much happier young man, and he will leave here with a valuable education and be successful. So this transition process is very successful, and it is very important. Thank you, Mr. Ross, for conducting those interviews. We did quite a few. They were really all very good. So Okay, then something else that we have to do as part of transition is students, we like to create something called a MAP with them. And MAP means making action plans. And so what we wanted to do tonight was to have another one of our students who did a MAP, kind of demonstrate, show you the process, and talk about what the MAP meant to him. So I'm going to introduce you to Nick Layden. Nick was kind enough, he's a senior, he graduated on Saturday, but he came back to present for us.
Thank you all for coming today.
Lisa,
You know what,
what was that?
why don't I do this? I'll do the board. Why don't we try to work the room this way now? I'll hold it. All right. And then come around. Keep a traveling map. So what I did with this map is I pretty much planned out my goals, and we had to figure out a step of actions to work towards these goals. So it started off with number one. Number one is my story, as in my background, my history, the things that I did and that I have done. So these are some of the things that I've done that I have behind me.
Areas would be where he was born, who he lives with, what sort of pets he has. And as the student gets older, the questions are more geared to their age. What work experience have you had? What clubs, what commitments have you had to school? And Nick had
I was certified as a lifeguard. I had my first job over the summer, and I just got confirmed in the Catholic Church. So it's some other things, honor roll, charity that I worked towards. So the second one is my vision, my dream for success and to set these goals. So pretty much it started out, I'll get out of your way. It started out with the type of life that I'd like to build for myself. As you see here.
Does he see him living in a home, with a family, an apartment, in the country? Does he leave EWG? Those sort of questions.
Yeah, so I brought forth the things that I have a passion for. As in outdoor education, I love rock climbing, surfing, kayaking, and I'm so incredibly interested in psychology. So I put a PhD here for psychology, and as a Layden in the Layden's Christmas tree business in West Greenwich, I own my own family business, so that's a huge part of my life. And I love helping people, so Peace Corps is a great thing for me that I like to do.
Now this whole dream area is the student wishes. And as a facilitator, because there's a team, there's a MAPS team, who looks a little different than an IEP team, but the facilitator helps target and bring the student into, okay, you're in the area of, let's say, psychology, what are some other areas that are close to that field? So we try to broaden the horizon. Because as we get further through the map, we might see the realistic of some of the educational or the financial demands. So, but the student is the boss, so Nick is the boss, and he has his dreams, his visions.
We have a team here, so we worked in pairs. I worked with another person who would draw out everything that I thought of myself and every goal that I planned out. And then I would do vice versa for him. So I worked with Matt Pelletier on this project.
Should we bring up people? Let me just let you guys see. You sit over there. All right.
And on to the third step in this action plan is fear. So what are my setbacks along the way? And I found that one thing that's always very difficult for everyone, as you see, is financial stability. That's something that is core and that brings you forward, brings you towards success. So, and then again, failure itself. Failure is an opportunity for success, but that's one thing that we all fear. It's human nature. So another thing is pretty much all the obstacles that come along the way. How will I adapt to that certain situation? Or even my own stability. How would I deal to this stress emotionally?
So the fears are obstacles that could interfere and get in the way of their dreams. And then the map moves on to...
The fourth step is the strengths that I have and the abilities that I have to make myself push towards my goals and accomplish. So I thought about this, and I am a well-known leader. I actually got a leadership award 2 years in a row at the camp called Adventure Zone. So that was a huge part of my life. And a couple other things is I'm very determined. I'm always working to move forward and patch my mistakes and make progress. Another thing is I'm intelligent, I guess. You are. Okay, and also I have a varying skill set. I'm able to do so many different types of things. I'm able to adapt to certain situations. And as I said back here, I'm very compassionate and I love to help people.
So with those gifts, where would Nick be welcome? Where would he see himself welcome in the community?
So I found that, like I said before, I was a part of Adventure Zone. And now that is what led me to have a passion for the outdoors and to learn how to kayak, surf, rock climb, things like that. And so that I felt that that was a place where it was home. I had a family there. And also, of course, the obvious one is home where you live with your traditional family. So that's where the support system lies for me.
And this was our first year of doing this. So then from the map itself, we have an action plan. Who, what, and when are some of these objectives or benchmarks going to happen? Who's going to be accountable for them, and there's a timeline. And what the idea is that the student in there, his case manager and his MAPS committee, they take this to the IEP meeting, and they see, they have this be a big piece of the transition because he owns it. He owns the transition. So when the students own the transition and the service, they put more effort into it. They strive harder to achieve their goals. They get more resourceful in grabbing people from the community in order to help them. And so then Nick just targeted his area. But as the MAPS meeting itself can be very informal, such as Nick did it in his transition class with Matt, to it can be a MAPS team, depending on the student, the age level. And if Nick were here one more year, this would be more developed and more specific.
Of course, yeah. I'm
Okay.
always willing to expand on this, and I actually already did expand on it somewhat because and where we stand now, there's always room for progression, obviously.
So Nick, the question that people always ask me
Yes.
is, why the paper and the markers? Why not just the technology? What did you get out of doing it?
With this, you're able to be creative. You're able to work within your own lines. And so with this, you're able to focus on the individual steps that you're going to take, the individual paths that you're willing to move forward with. So that's what I found.
So Nick, what did you say to me the other day when I asked you about what this meant to you? Do you remember? About how it changed your life a little bit? Got you thinking about...
Well, it gave me an awareness on what exactly I need to do within my life and how I'm going to work this out. So it was a great opportunity to plan out and set some goals for myself for the near future, for short-term goals, and maybe even for long-term goals. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay, and last but not least, and I'm not making 30 minutes, I'm sorry. We didn't bet. So last but not least, another example of the whole transition process, and also an example of the direction we're moving in terms of how we work with students at the high school level, how we plan for them, how we get them to be successful, and that is looking at how both academics, the Common Core, and work-based learning can all come together to help students be successful. So you all know we have, it's our old ALP, we call it Pathways to Career now, and we have a student who's in that program who has kindly agreed to join us tonight and talk to us about his experience and what this has done for him. So come on up, Austin, and then Mrs. Regan's going to join him as well.
Hi,
Austin Mason, and this program actually kind of helped me a lot with school and everything. Instead of being in like a giant classroom with like 30-something kids, it was kind of a little chaotic going on. But this is the Pathway to Security program, and last year I was a 9th grader in general classes, just by like with all the 30 kids, and it was kind of like distracting, overwhelming with all the stuff going on. And so like I was not successful because I was just worried about what was going on around me, who's doing what. So like I'd be doing my work, I hear something over here, I look. I can't help it, I was looking. And that was basically it. It was just distraction, more or less, with the kids going on, and I didn't pay attention, so I didn't really do my work, or I wasn't paying attention to what the teacher was doing. And the past years that I was successful in this class was like I didn't get distracted as much because there was less kids, so that kind of like helped me focus on doing my work and paying attention to the teachers. And actually another thing is that I had a little problem with organization. So actually what this did was it also helped me get organized. So like I had all my schoolwork, all my homework, everything I needed for that class the next day when I came in. And it encouraged me to do my work because once again I wasn't worried about who was doing what was going on in the classroom. And the internship with this, what it did was every other day we'd go on an internship. So what I did was I worked at the middle of nowhere. It helped me like kind of like get away from overwhelmed of doing classwork. So like I'd go in the next day and be doing classwork. I didn't like doing that because I would be like, oh, I gotta do this again. So it was kind of boring and I didn't like it. So what this helped me do is get out of that and help me like, oh, the next day I'm going to the internship. So like I wouldn't be worrying about classwork, and then the next day it's kind of fresh in my head because I just did it the other day. I didn't do it all over. And so like cuts down on frustration and paying attention. In the internship, what it did was it made me hands-on. I like learning with hands-on stuff. So like I'm not like, granted, I can learn with what's going on with the board, but I can learn a lot better with touching stuff and doing stuff because that's just the way I learn. So the intern at the middle of nowhere, the things I did was, one of them I did food prep. I helped cook, dishwashing, helped bus tables, did kind of like everything there. I was here and there doing everything and helping them, and I actually kind of liked it. And what the thing is the owner, I forget, Nick, I can't say his last name because it's a long one. So,
Greek.
Yeah, it's a Greek. It's Zan something. Mr. C, how's that? So, because I'm 15 years old, and what it did was, you can't normally get a job at 15. You have to be 16 because you got to have your permit or something to leave, like say you're an actual U.S. citizen and all that stuff. So what he did was he actually gave me a job at 15. He actually hired me from the internship because he saw what I was doing and how I was helping him. So my job was dishwashing. So I actually got paid. So like on the weekends I'd go there and actually have a job, paying job. So that was kind of like one of the benefits I got out of going to the internship. And the next year, what I'm looking forward to in this program is to like try new things. Like I wanted to do something with animals, something at the time I couldn't do that. I grew up with animals, so like I kind of want to do something with that. Not really veterinary, kind of like zoologist, animal biologist, stuff like that, where I'm actually observing them in their own habitat. I think that's kind of cool. And another thing is, this is away from animals, is mechanics. Because since I've ever been alive, my dad, my grandfather, all of them, they've been doing mechanics. So like it's kind of, I've been around it a little bit, so it's kind of like something, why don't I try that, get in a little bit, so like I know what to do when I get older, something breaks, I don't have to pay for it. So it'd be kind of cool. And so like basically what this does is it helps you like say, you want to try this, but you don't end up liking it because it's something you wanted to try, but you don't know if you're going to like it or not in the future. So this program helps you do stuff here. Like you got 4 years, say you start in 9th grade, you can do all this, like all the works. You can try culinary, you can try auto mechanic. If you don't like those, then you know what to do, so you don't have to go to college and end up paying for it, and you end up liking it. That's not something a lot of people like doing. I know people that go to college and they don't end up liking what they paid for. So that's what this program helps you with. It kind of helps you do all that and get away from the stuff you don't like and helps you like stuff. And I'm thankful for this program because it helps me, and I'm actually better at organization. I'm better with paying attention in classroom, and I actually do my work more than I did before because I wasn't worried about other people. So that's basically what this program's done for me. And is there any questions?
I've never seen a 15-year-old speak this well to people you don't know, and with such focus. So I'm convinced you're going to be successful in whatever you want to do.
Thank you.
Just keep doing it.
Actually, the reason behind that is because my family is one of those people, like, they're not afraid to talk to anyone. They're not shy. So I've been around people that aren't shy my whole entire life. So you could be walking in Walmart. I'll start having a conversation with you because you're looking at the same thing I'm looking at.
So you might want to use it.
I'm not afraid to talk to people, so it's a good thing to do. Thank you.
Awesome, that was great.
Thank you.
This is actually Austin's portfolio. He put together, this is Jared, the young man in the interview, the portfolio he put together. So I'm Kim Regan, and I have the honor and privilege of teaching these young men. And we operate in our program on the belief that the Common Core state standards can be assessed in ways other than a traditional classroom. So we also allow students to have real-life, hands-on work environments every other day. And we learn and practice the 21st century skills. We have a lot of stress and emphasis in those areas. And it helps to equip students with skills to help them be accessible and gainfully employed in their future, or now, as Austin was. Oh, you can?
Yes.
So we have a series of common tasks that we do in the classroom that correlate to what they're doing in their internship. So I don't know if this is Austin specifically or
This is,
okay.
I'm not sure which one this is, but.
So it looks a little different when we embedded it, but so take math for example, because that's the newest one we just did, that's fresh in our mind. We did a whole bunch of trigonometry and right triangles, and we had the students think of situations where right triangles are in their world of work, and then they worked out different trigonometric, is that the right way? Functions, but using real life situations. And Austin's a great example. He did some different angles in the restaurant, but he also wanted to take that further and say, can I please do one on my tree stand? But that's great because it shows learning hands-on outside of school in a non-traditional setting. And that's what we need to do with a series of common tasks. And of course, one of the major benefits is they learn employability skills. They learn what's expected of them in the world of work. The students come up with their own rubric of what they think are important employability skills, and they're assessed on the rubric that they create. So they really own that as well, and they look for growth. They do reflections every single day, which is of those portfolios that are going around. They learn how to apply for, interview, obtain, and resign from a job. Some of our students don't like what they're doing, and that's valuable experience. So they learn how to write a letter of resignation, give their 2 weeks appropriately, and continue to add to their resume. And I can't even see. And here are some samples. Some are in the books you see. We had another young man doing construction there. We had one in automotive. We had pet grooming, our IT department, all sorts of very, very cool things. Seeing them out in the community and learning. There's Austin cutting the right way. Austin flourishes out in the front counter because he's so great at talking to all the people, and then every year we end with our open house. We had a great turnout this year. The students have their portfolios in front of them, and people go around and question them, and they answer any questions that they had. So it was, and we hope that you'll come in the future years if you can make it to that open house. It's a really nice thing.
It looks like it was very well
I've
attended.
seen-
Were
yes.
invitations sent to?
I did. It got bounced back. School committee email as a whole.
Because I usually go every
Does
year
not-
and I didn't get one this year. Great.
But thank you for all your support for this program because I think it's very valuable.
Thanks, Kim. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. far.
I think it's all good.
But,
All makes sense.
any questions? Again, if any of you would like a hard copy of the packet, just let me know and I'm happy to send it to you. Thank you. Have a good evening and thanks again.
Thank you, everyone.
Kim, you want to grab the other photos?
Okay, we'll go to the consent agenda.
Okay, our consent agenda includes the minutes from May 24th. We also have a series of personnel items, including some shifting around of some of our clerks and TAs that have moved into clerical positions. This is the final piece of the movement that has occurred as a result of a retirement that was accepted quite a bit of time ago. We went through processes to fill all positions. So Beverly Babcock is moving into central office to replace Diane. Diane is moving to the junior senior high school, and the library work will be filled by Marie, who was a TA to this point. Several of our clerks have moved around, but because they're retaining their same classification, not listed on the school agenda. In terms of resignations, we have a retirement of our occupational therapist. We also have the resignation of our IT director, who's moving on to a bigger and better position, with a lot more money, different setting. And then we have several, this is typical, but at the end of the year, several of our extracurricular coaches and facilitators have resigned for a variety of reasons. And then we are at the point now where our job fairs have occurred. We know the high school schedule, we know our staffing needs, so we've identified several of the individuals that were previously identified with potential layoff, that they are able to come back. We also have our bills, and one note on our homeschool approvals, if we could pull number 1 from the agenda. Rob and I identified something that we needed an answer to, so we need to wait on the answer before we can approve the request. But the second returning family is acceptable.
Okay. Any questions?
Just a general question about the homeschool listings on the agendas. Why are they on the agendas throughout the year? Are they satisfying requirements?
So these are,
Returning family, June?
yeah, these are for the next school year.
Because we have them on almost every agenda.
Yeah, sometimes there's a whole bunch of reasons why, but it could be that school family has moved into the district and needs to transfer the approval from the previous district to the current district. It could mean that although we've known that they were homeschooling, they had not turned in the necessary paperwork in order for us to do the formal approval.
So when they do, they're categorized as returning.
Exactly.
Okay.
So there's a lot of reasons, but we have very comprehensive records of all the things that we're required to keep for our homeschool families that we maintain, and if there's anything missing, we get it eventually.
Anyone else? Lee?
I just need to have, under new business, F&G.
Where is it?
Under new business in the meeting minutes. Oh. Either that or just pull the meeting minutes out of the secretary.
Oh, because you're 11 You stepped down, but you didn't vote.
I didn't vote on two of those items yet. So,
It's up to you, whatever you're more comfortable with, because you didn't vote on them, I think it's fine if you approve them, because you were part of the vote anyway. I think it's okay. Okay, so if we can have a motion.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda, plus the return number 1.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, let's see. So correspondence, policy subcommittee meeting minutes, we have discipline reports, and the charter review committee meeting minutes. If there are any questions on any of that? All good? Okay. The budget projection for 15-16.
Closed. Can we show positive operating balance for the end of this year, along with our unassigned general fund balance, leaves us in a position as expected.
Any questions on the budget? Okay. 16-17 budget.
Yes. So as we did last year, the approval of our budget happens pretty early in the school year, and then we get notification of retirements and new tuition that comes in here. Carmela identified that there were a couple of additional tuitions that came in through DC-wide placement. We have now begun to identify replacement costs for our retirees, and we do the very best that we can to incorporate all of the changes that we know of into a revised budget throughout the month. And then we want to try to get this done before the end of the school year so that we can release it to the people who have budgetary responsibilities. But we did shift a lot of money based on the things that we know, the replacement costs, the tuitions, things that have shifted around. The bottom line remains exactly as what was approved, but the shifting has occurred to reflect the changes that we know of to date. So last year I brought copies of this to the school committee, and the school committee basically said, we voted on a budget, it shifted around, it's the same, so just move forward with that shift. I do have a copy, I can also send it electronically if there are people that would like to see it, but I wanted to tell you that we did the same thing. We're in the same spot that we were on the adoption of the budget. And what we're looking for is just your consensus that this will be the budget, with the shifting of money, that this will be the budget that's locked, and that will be going forward. Because you didn't take a vote last year.
No. You're just shifting things around. We're going to make a copy of that. So we're good? Okay. All set. Thank you.
I do have an extra copy.
We already did for it. Perfect.
Okay, the monthly subcommittee reports. We have updated policy list.
So the three that are in yellow are on the agenda for today, which we'll talk about. The ones that are in green are
charge of the subcommittee. What we have on your break?
Well, we had the minutes in there, and then subsequently we received the information that Mr. voted, the town council voted not to go into the minutes.
Okay, I didn't know what that result was. Well, that's unfortunate.
It was unanimous. It was no. It was 5-0. It was
Really?
To keep it
As is.
So I think that effectively
So we'll disband the
disbands.
subcommittee for now. Yeah, well, there was no reviews.
I'll just do an email to kind of send that to all the members.
I would move back, just put our email stating what occurred and tell them at this point in time, so perfect meeting, the subcommittee meeting.
Yes, we'll put it together. This is all represented. If you could see some online, that'd be great. Okay, we have our monthly status reports. Do you have any questions on those, comments? Good. Okay, new business. So the approval of the K-5 mathematics program.
So I have two proposals or recommendations before you this evening. One is for a K-5 mathematics program. The recommendation is Everyday Mathematics 4. As part of my status report this month, I outlined the process, the year-long process that was used to identify this program, including other programs that were reviewed, a survey that I put out for teachers, professional development that had occurred throughout the course of the year, and as I stated in the update, 92% of the teachers were in favor of moving forward with Everyday Mathematics 4. The three teachers, so there were three teachers who would not, follow-up conversations occurred with those teachers individually to find out what the concerns were, and those concerns are being addressed.
Any questions?
And you can note in Dr. Arnold's request that these, the funds for this program have been budgeted.
And then this,
Let's go one at a time, yeah.
Okay.
So if someone could look at the bottom of one of these pages and make a motion.
To say it with policy number, school committee policy number, or just?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, according to the school committee policy number 7702, curriculum material selection and adoption. I move that the school committee approve the curriculum committee's request to approve Big Ideas Math 2014 edition of grade 6.
No, we see it. We're on the everyday math.
Oh,
the everyday
That's
okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
It sounds like a good time.
You can make that motion to
Everyday
adjourn.
Mathematics 2016. This is the committee's fault for grades K through 5.
Everyday mathematics for 2016 edition grades 5. Okay, we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Thank you. Okay.
The second proposal is for sixth grade mathematics, Big Ideas Math 2014 edition. With the change in the Common Core standards for mathematics, it's now beyond grade 6 is connected to 7, so it's K5 and then it's 6-8. The grade 6 program is the program that we have been using for grades 7 through 12. So it makes a lot of sense that we adopt the same program for grade 6. In addition to the sense making, teachers did pilot it. I did bring in 2 vendors, and we reviewed several different programs. teachers did pilot it. The company, the Big Ideas, they were very gracious with their materials that we were able to have a full pilot this year, and the teachers absolutely loved it. Unlike the Everyday Math 4, Big Ideas was not initially or originally budgeted, because this year was supposed to be just an exploratory year. But they did, the teachers and the committee did do their homework and love it. So I sat down with math coach, Mrs. Kilday, and with the building principal, Mrs. Radigan. We looked at the mathematics budget. We saw that things that were earmarked to be purchased, we reprioritized the mathematics materials, if you will, at the school, and that is what is able to fund Big Ideas for the upcoming year.
So it helped before it's kind of.
It did. It did.
I mean, regardless of that, I am so thrilled that we are going K-6 to 8. You could have brought the money before me. I personally, I'm thrilled that we're making that a team, and that's fabulous. That was one of our big areas that I was because I know for a long time that we had that rate between 6 and 7.
And it's also part of, when I think about our strategic plan, we've done a lot of work this year too with regards to transitioning from one school to the other school. And so this is just an example of the work we're doing in that area too.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Okay. Do you want to make that motion, Joe? Go ahead.
What were some of the concerns of the teachers prior?
In the K-5?
Yeah.
So 2 of the teachers, it was in kindergarten, brand new teachers. We started the pilot after the school year began. And so we had to make some adjustments. So they felt like kindergarten did not have enough practice before and so the children were not as secure in mathematics before they went on to the next topic, next concept. And that is something that we met with the entire K team about. When I say we, Gina and I met with the entire K team about. We met with the company about that concern as well. And so we are sitting down. One of the things we're doing this summer is looking at each unit to find out, are there any gaps? No program is perfect. This one is pretty close to it. But the biggest issue was in kindergarten. So what we're doing, the program, because it's designed as a 120-day and not as a 180-day program like Everyday Engaged New York is, what we're able to do, the teachers can slow down in order to move forward because the program does have the extra time built into it so that we can make sure that those skills that our kindergarten children have those skills secure before teachers move on to the next concept.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then the third teacher was a third grade teacher, and she really wasn't sure why she.
It's not an issue. The other teacher is teaching in the classroom.
Okay. That's fine.
Good.
Yeah, that made sense.
Okay. So if we can have a motion on the grade 6.
You already did it once, you had to practice.
In accordance with school committee policy number 7702, curriculum material selection and adoption, I move that the school committee approve the curriculum committee's request for approval of the Big Ideas Math 2014 edition, grade 6.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries.
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Many teachers there.
Thank you. Okay. Here's policies. 6210 to first reading.
6210 is the return to work policy. This has been under development for months now. We had it initially reviewed by Ross in his department. We had it looked at by our vendors that we use. We had it looked at by our attorney. Once we had a bunch of the recommendations, we brought it to the policy subcommittee, and then Bill Clay took it and mapped it against all the legislation that has occurred since the time that the policy was last reviewed. He had some questions, so it's going back and forth a number of times, and this is the result of months of work, but it has the approval of a lot of different people in our lawyer, our insurance providers, the policy subcommittee, and the members of the central office who actually have to carry out the implications of this policy. It is considered a new policy because it is fairly significant in terms of changes. And what we have done for you is we've stapled the existing policy, the one that is in place. It was last reviewed in October of 1994. So that, just a copy for your reference, is there. And then the top 2 pages in the packet represent the new return to work policy that is updated, consistent with law, and satisfactory terms to our legal team and our vendors. So this is just the first review, but on the agenda at the next meeting as well.
Any questions on it today? Policy 7800, rating is the first reading also.
Okay. So while I said that the first policy that we looked at was months, this one is a year-long process. We have been talking about the issue of grading and making sure that our grading practices are consistent with the requirements of the basic education program. First of all, the BEP says that we must have a grading policy, which this district has never had. So that's our first issue. We actually embedded this work into our strategic plan. We embedded it into the professional goals of every one of the administrators in the district and many of the teachers in the district. You heard at the last meeting the presentation from Metcalf on their transition to a new standard-based grading system. That is completely consistent with the expectations outlined in the BEP and also consistent with the implications of this grading policy, because all of this work has been happening for the year, actually more than a year. And we've kind of been working on their transition and our policy at the same time. We've done quite a bit of research, review of research, best practices, reviewing policies that exist in other districts. There's not a single policy that we read from another district that we completely agree with. Getting committees to agree on anything related to grading is pretty tough to do. And so there was compromise along the way, but we had a lot of people that were involved in this. We had a grading committee, volunteer committee that worked towards the end to kind of get it finalized. Even that went through a series of revisions. I have a few more tweaks that I will make between now and the next read. It has been shared with all of the faculties. Metcalf, of course, is completely fine because they're moving forward with a grading system that is consistent. The junior high school was completely fine. The high school, which, the high school is a little bit different. All high schools are traditional in terms of their grading practices. So this is going to ask people to stretch a little bit. And while there were questions, what I heard from people was this is something that we can live with. And that, while that may not sound completely positive, it's pretty darn massive, if I do say so myself, that we were able to get to that point. And so I am really proud of this. This is something that we've spent a long time working on. Had I just put forth a policy that I wanted, first of all, it wouldn't have been completely acceptable to everybody, but nobody would have bought into it because they weren't involved in the process. This is something that we worked on for quite some time, and we've gotten to a point now just say too that what I am most proud of is that this begins to shift our thinking away from a number and that we begin to focus on learning. I know I said it when Metcalf gave their presentation, but we spend a lot of time in this district having conversations about numbers and not a lot of time talking about learning. And this policy begins to really force us to invest our time in analyzing student learning.
I know we had a lot of discussion during contract negotiation about the timeliness of feedback to the students. I don't see that defined in here.
So,
I see.
So it's on, I understand what you're saying. There is a section, D, called feedback.
Yep.
And, I mean, one of the things that we indicated, so it is here for constructive ongoing feedback provided to students at regular intervals. That's, but I think what you're talking about is entering the grades into Aspen and
Yeah,
time frame.
the time frame to get this stuff turned around for the students.
I mean, we can certainly make note of it. It is contractual, but we can make note of it in here. Like I said, we are making some revisions between now and the next time. Nothing major, just some clarifying things. We're probably even going to change the title to grading for learning instead of just a grading policy. But I can incorporate that into the adjustment for learning.
Yeah, we reference the contract and we have entering timeliness of grades and aspects.
Thank you, Lee. No problem.
Any other questions for today? Okay, let's see. Policy 86 for student travel amendment.
Okay, so this one you just have the one copy because the changes are indicated in red, and I'll just go through a couple of things. The timing of this is kind of perfect because you heard about the student who acquired internships, and we do have a van that was purchased for the district actually before I got here. That van is used to transport students during the school day to and from their internships. And this policy 8604 on student travel covers everything except the internship experience. So we wanted to incorporate that in. The first page, the change is the definition of the internship. On the second page, we added a paragraph about responsibilities for category 4, which is the new category, the internship category, student travel. Who supervises, how is transportation provided, the drivers complying with regulations around carrying the correct license. So anybody that drives has to have their chauffeur's license, that's one of the requirements. And funding is from the special education budget. We just modeled that paragraph over after the previous paragraph, which is the responsibilities for the other categories of travel. And then the last thing that we did was, actually it's a couple of things. So under overnight travel, there's a bullet that's been added asking for financial impact to students and their families. We ask for that anyway. It becomes part of the packet when an overnight travel request comes to you. We have the person who's supervising then to make the presentation. And part of the paperwork is that they provide for you the financial implication for the students. So that's just bulleted, that's what we already do. I'm going to skip over what's crossed off in a minute, but the next paragraph, we've had a couple, actually more than a couple of instances where what gets presented is based on a certain number of students attending. And obviously, certain costs remain the same regardless of the number of attendees. And if you plan for a trip when there's 30 people and then only 14 go, and at the last minute everybody's price gets boosted up by quite a bit, and that could, especially in some of these significant travel experiences, that could really impact the parent's ability to provide the opportunity for their child. And it's been a problem that we've had to deal with. So this basically says there are some parameters, we'll give a little bit of flexibility, but beyond that flexibility, the trip either needs to be canceled or you need to replan, resubmit, represent, and get approval again. Because we cannot have trips that are planned for a certain amount of money and then we're saying to parents, I'm sorry, but you need to pay $350, $400, $600 more. And it was just unbudgeted and unplanned for. So this was our attempt to address that particular issue. I don't know when that paragraph that's crossed off was ever placed in this policy. It was there before I got here, but there had to be a particular circumstance around why they wanted a paragraph about consuming token amounts of alcohol for ceremonial purposes on a trip. But I am asking to just completely get rid of that paragraph because I never want to go down that path in my tenure. And that's it.
Hence the reason to do our policies, make sure they're all up to date and current. That was one thing that was called.
I'll make a motion that we approve policy 8604 as amended.
Second. Any further discussion?
Just one, and maybe it's Ned. Under that, the additional section 6, it mentions district-owned van. Should that be more generic in terms of transportation? Because really it's not go anymore. I mean, is there not?
Oh, so in other words, district-owned
Shall we, we have shall be via district-owned van.
or we can use a bus. So I can
Just a.
district.
You want to say vehicle instead of vehicle?
Well, it says more, you were saying more.
Well, the school
I was just saying,
buses,
school
right?
authorized transportation.
Yeah.
That opens it to whatever.
Right.
Is that all right?
Makes it wide open.
Just trying to be generic. And the only other question, I guess, is that last section that was added, 10% allowed variance. I agree with you. Okay, so my concern is last minute, 2 people drop out. So we can convene a university meeting of some sort to vote on something. So
And I think that the intent here is that we need to be a lot more strategic and a lot more thorough in identifying student interest, commitment, that kind of thing. Because right now, there's really not a requirement to do that. You can do your best guess. Maybe we put 40 kids down because we know that influences the price in a positive way.
Right.
It's great, but this way, we really have to be much more thorough and strategic in our planning, and hopefully we won't have that.
Sorry, I'm a little bit stuck behind here. Get a motion.
Make a
Okay.
second.
Yeah, give me a second. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Okay, let's see. Approve Rhode Island Department of Education, approved project for school construction, memorandum agreement.
Do you want to just tell?
Did I tell them what it is?
So this is just this came again as part of the ongoing process of our capital reserve projects. Just in saying that we're signing an agreement that the Board of Regents and the School Business Authority approved our projects and that we're going to go forward and complete the projects as presented to them.
Just out of curiosity, why do we all have to sign this? And what does section 1.08-2 of the Rhode Island Department of Education School Construction Regulations say? Since that seems to be what we're signing on to.
It says the undersigned acknowledge that they have received a copy of RIDE School Construction Regulations, May 24, 2007, and understand the requirements imposed by these regulations. The undersigned further agree that they will at all times ensure that the approved project is, and all activities related thereto are, in compliance with all applicable provisions of these regulations. Further, the district agrees to promptly notify RIDE of any deviation from the approved scope, timeline, or cost of the approved project. So that's what we're signing our name to.
And so those were the regulations that were approved in 2007, which we've been operating under since then. They're on the RIDE website. They're in here to just let you know that's where that's the section by which governance is.
I mean, we've all been briefed on how this is supposed to work. Does anything in here change any of our understanding?
So well signed, we're ready for motion, right? Is it something well signed?
Yeah, I think, I just don't, we've already asked, was due like a week ago. I've already asked for the extension to this week.
Yeah. No, but you don't need a motion on this. It's
Oh, no,
all signed,
it's just
correct?
signed.
So Val and Cheryl are here, but Bob's looking for the.
See if they can come by. I mean, what I don't want to do is get in a situation where you folks have it signed.
No, this is the right thing. Thank you. Okay, we have unfinished business, school start time discussion.
No, so the bus company, I was actually at the bus company, was it yesterday? Today? Or no, I went to their end of the year. So that bus drivers. And I talked to Scott. So he has a spreadsheet that has the start and end times, and when the end of the year is done, we're going to meet together and just kind of organize the information. But as I said, this is not something that we are in a rush to get done. This is a conversation about something that could potentially happen at least a year out. So when things kind of die down a little bit, he and I will meet and I'll get the information out. Yep.
Okay, reserve capital project update.
I met with Toronto and Dave D'Amico and Lucas Murray of Foresight to go over on Monday to go over the lineup project that's moving forward. In my packet, I had referenced that we had met previously with Will Meyer Engineering to go over the generator project. So Lewis right now is in contact with RIDE to schedule an appointment with RIDE to review where we are on those processes. That should be next week. And then in the background, they're building out the bid specs so that once RIDE says go forth, that those bids can get distributed. Still very cognizant of the September 1 completion date. Walloon seems like a drop and connect. They're going to put that generator right out next to the transformer, which is a over by the shed and where the dumpster area is. It's a nice fit. This one here, if you had a chance to look at the status report, there's a little more work to do here. And, but I'm feeling more, the more we talk about it, I'm feeling better. So, all good stuff.
And it was one option, senior high level, like it was.
Be able to get the pads and everything set up ahead of time, get the conduit run, the wiring run, and then the only disruption will be tied into the electrical panel and the transfer switch between the circuits, and that's to be done one time. But they'll have that some. That's I think the bigger project's going to be the line to meet the September timeframe.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Reports and comments.
First thing is we expect the education budget to be voted on this week. That's the expectation. Maybe it'll be pushed off a little bit, but regional transportation funding has been restored and it is still in the current version. That's as of this afternoon, and it looks pretty good. So that's a really positive thing, and I think the work that we did as a coalition with all regional school districts stuck with them. I know that the other potential is that there was an adjustment made to the bed reimbursement for group homes. It's not the ultimate fix that I think is necessary, and I don't think this is the end. But given the time frame, I think this was a quick way to just throw a little bit more our way. So if that stays in the budget, that will also be beneficial to us. There are some other things that are moving parts that may have negative impacts, like the amount that we're able to reduce for charter school tuition. That was budgeted as one thing. It doesn't appear that it has stayed that way. And they've also made an additional reduction in state aid that we were notified of on top of what we already were notified of prior. So I don't know what the end result is going to be, but we're paying attention to that. Once it's sorted out, we'll get the real numbers and we can give an update. And then the other thing is this afternoon, we were visited by the commissioner. This was his planned visit. I know he's been to a number of communities. He asked for me to invite teachers, principals, administrators, committee members. We had central office admin, 100% of our school administrators, a couple of school committee members, and a much greater representation of teachers than I knew was coming, which was a good thing. So we had a fairly decent showing, given that it was the day before the last day of school. And the commissioner talked a lot about empowerment and then state testing, teacher evaluation, and graduation requirements. We learned some things today. Apparently the empowerment legislation changes from day to day. And there were things that we were prepared to ask questions about. We asked questions, and we found out that those things were stricken and removed from the legislation. So the questions that we had were the right questions. There are things that lots of people are asking about, but it appears that whatever semblance of the original legislation remains, that there is a boatload of flexibility for us to pick and choose pieces of it. And so it's something that we're going to talk about. But I think I'll let you guys speak.
Let me tell you what happened while we've been meeting. The full House passed Article 11 on the empowerment. Yeah, but they did make an amendment that says no teacher or staff may be laid off, suspended, or terminated by a school district who would not otherwise have been laid off, suspended, or terminated, except for an employment decision by an empowerment school principal pursuant to this section. So that got passed. but it goes on to say that when the full fiscal year 17 budget is passed, it will be transmitted to the Senate. So right now it's through the House budget.
But the legislation the version of the legislation that currently was passed has been significantly changed from the last version that I saw. So I need to take a look at the current version when I'm able to get a copy of it. But it appears that they built in lots of things where many of the questions that we had, that's been taken out, or you just choose not to do that. And they also, according to the commissioner today, the ability for families to move between districts has been stricken from the legislation as well.
The whole purpose was school choice, and they took out.
Well, that's sort of good, and it kind of goes along with the other piece of good news, is that the Senate passed Bill 2016, S3075 sub A, restricting charge pool expansion. But while we've been here, I've been wondering what's been going on.
Today's going to be a busy day. Let's see. So I don't know if you had anything that you wanted to add. Terry was there, Courtney was there, Marie, Bob.
No, just sounded like a lot of things that initially would have been mandated. Now it seems like there's more flexibility built into it. At least that's the verbal description. So, just kill it.
2021 for some of the leagues, for the leagues, a lot of water, one word bridge.
Yeah, a lot of
Personnel changes.
Read water into roads.
I mean, my statement was, if we really want to focus on autonomy and giving the ability for principals and teachers to make decisions, I think we can point to many pieces of evidence to suggest that we already do that. So my question was, why do we need to be called an empowerment school to do empowerment things? And the answer was interesting, because we have flexibility to just pick tiny pieces of it. So we'll take a look at it further.
So did anybody ask whether or not the intent is to turn the state into one big giant district controlled by RIDE, many school committees and administrations, etc.?
You basically said if you're on the school committees, you basically said if you're happy with how your district runs with the superintendent and the school committee, then you can just keep it that way.
But the principals and the teachers and the students are going to make that decision, right?
No, as a district, we can say we want to keep everything status quo the way we run it.
Not anymore. So now the legislation says it requires the approval of the superintendent. I have to say yes. The school committee has to say yes. The principal of the building has to say yes. And 2/3 of the faculty have to say yes.
Okay.
So if any one of those subgroups say no, then that's the end of it. And there's no, I heard this prior to, we can't then appeal that to a district and overturn the decision of any one of those, which was part of the original legislation. So, again, since about a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, when I gave you the most recent version, apparently it is completely different from that, but we have not received any updated versions of the legislation. So I will request that tomorrow to see, do a side by side and see what's been addressed and what hasn't been addressed.
Okay, important dates. Let's see. June 28th, we have a school committee meeting. Tomorrow we have the graduations of Mark High Health diplomas. Tuesday, June 28th, we have a school committee meeting. July 19th.